Hello everyone! This hour on Verbling, the next in my Getting Results in Business series, we're continuing our unit on how to talk about job performance. And now, in this class, we're going to be focusing on the key expressions we need to appraise someone's performance or appraise our own performance, to do an evaluation. Well, first, before we begin class, a little bit about me. I'm Jon-Eric, your Verbling teacher for this hour, and I'm an American teacher from New York, hanging out in Lisbon, Portugal to bring you this class. And here are 3 quick rules to help you participate. Don't forget to turn off, tune in, and open up, which means turn off your microphone when you're not speaking so we can keep the classroom quiet. When you are speaking, tune in to the new words that you learn. Use them actively so that I can correct you. And finally, open up to your classmates. Relax and have fun. We're all here to learn, and this is a safe and respectful place to practice your English. And before we do anything else, let me open up our presentation, the one that we used yesterday, the one we're going to use today. Let's see if I have it. Here it is. Let me get that on screen for you. Just to remind you what we've been doing. So far, we've been talking about personal qualities. There we're learning lots of adjectives. We also learned how to convert the adjectives to nouns. We're talking about key expressions for appraising performance and setting objectives. We're going to learn how to tactfully, diplomatically give feedback. And finally, revise our grammar of the past continuous and past perfect to tell a story. The story is the history of our job performance, right? When you're relating an anecdote or talking about what you did in the past, we're going to need these verb tenses to do it. In today's class, we're focusing on those key expressions for appraisal. Okay, so that's a little bit about what we're doing. Give me just a second to get my camera working here. 1 second. Give me a second to turn this on. Verbling teacher. I have to first get my name on the screen. Otherwise, you might not know who I am. That would be terrible. Hold on. Let's see if we can get it working. There we go. It's working. Okay. So, now we know what we're doing. What we're going to do is, oh wait, let's see if I know everyone. Raphael, Luo, I know you, Giuseppe, not the regular Giuseppe, the other Giuseppe.
Hello, teacher.
Because there's 2 Giuseppes. You're the other Giuseppe. Hello. And Anton. Hello. Okay, I know all of you. Yesterday, I think I left you with, let me just go to the part of the presentation. I'm taking a look at it on my screen. Yesterday, okay, yeah. Yesterday, you had to answer a questionnaire just like the person that we listened to. We read and corrected his questionnaire, his self-appraisal. It looks like this. And you had to do one on your own. So what I need to do then is I need to take a look. First of all, I have to do a couple of things here. So let me do this. I'm going to open up our notes document because I want to put the appraisals that were written yesterday. I want to correct them quickly and put them in one place. So hang on just a second while I do that. And in the meantime, you can, if you haven't done one, you can do one now. Basically, what we did is we took these questions, we looked at and corrected someone's yesterday. I'll take a look here. We tried to give better answers than the ones that he had given using some key expressions. If at any point you want to cheat, you can do that by going to the very last page of our presentation, where I've given you a list of some key expressions, the ones that we're using today, in fact. So you can always cheat and use some of these here, particularly if you're talking about the appraisal, but you've got other vocabulary as well. So that's on the last page. But what we're going to do is go back here. Whoops. And hang on just a second. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to take the ones that you gave me yesterday and correct them. So first I need to, oh, this is taking forever. I'm just going to go back to the chat window from yesterday because I don't think I received corrections in the mail. I know I received one on Facebook, but I'll copy and paste that. Hang on a second here. Hang on just a second here. By the way, maybe we can do this to speed things up. Raphael, I think you did one yesterday, am I right?
No.
It wasn't you?
No.
Okay, so it wasn't you then, sorry. So it was Giuseppe, Ishmael. Oh, Yuki, you did one yesterday, didn't you? You filled this out, didn't you?
Sorry, teacher?
Yuki, you
Yes.
filled this out yesterday, didn't you?
Yes, I was in yesterday class.
Right.
Yes.
And you filled out one of these questionnaires yesterday, didn't you? You put it in the
Yes,
chat?
first question, yes.
Oh, just the first one. Okay.
Yes, just of, yes.
Okay. Hang on a second here. I'm just taking a look in the chat window if we could correct some from yesterday. Hang on just a second. Yeah, okay, I see yours from yesterday now, Yuki. So what I'm going to do is I can see it from yesterday, so I'm going to copy and paste it quickly into our notes and share the screen because I wanted to correct the ones from yesterday and use them in today's class. Okay? So give me just a second to do that. And the others, I don't think anyone else was in class yesterday because we had Ishmael and Giuseppe, the other Giuseppe. Giuseppe. I have to call you by two different names. Oh, right, Giuseppe, you told me to call you Jose, right? Didn't you?
Okay, no problem. Yeah, it's good. Jose, va bene.
Okay. Jose or Jose?
Jose.
Jose, okay. So you're Jose from now on. So Giuseppe, the real Giuseppe, gave us one, but he's not here today. So I'm not going to correct anyone who isn't here because I think it might be a waste of our time. What I want everyone to do is let's take a look at the one that Yuki did. I'll do a quick correction to make a few suggestions on screen, and then you can use that as kind of a model of how to answer these. Then what we're going to do is have a mock appraisal, a mock evaluation. Every 6 months or once a year, you'll probably have a job appraisal, a job evaluation. So we're going to try to imitate that in class using some of the feedback, and I'll give you some key expressions that you can use to do that. So in the notes document, which I'll share on screen with you in just a second, if you go down to today's class, which is going to be on page, I think, 4, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, page 4. I'm going to make a new class for today, and I'm going to post Yuki's appraisal. So I'm going to call it Yuki's appraisal. Okay, so I've got question number 4 there, Yuki.
Do you reserve what I wrote yesterday?
Yeah, I'm copying it from the chat window from yesterday. I see the answers to questions 2 and 4 so far. Hold on. I'm going to share my screen with everyone in just a second. I just need to copy and paste it first, and then it'll be easier to see. Because otherwise, it's going to be a little confusing if I'm just reading this to you. 1 second. So I see questions 2 and 4 from yesterday. Oh, 3. I see 3 too. Okay. So I think you answered all of them, actually. 3. Let's see if I can find your answer. Oh. Hold on a second. Almost done, everyone. Hang on just a second. Almost finished. Okay, and here's question number 1. Okay, so let me share my screen so you can see exactly where I am. We're going to correct Yuki's and use it as kind of a model for how you can answer this on your own. And then we'll do it together as a class, as a role play, kind of a role player simulation. Okay, so on page 4 of our notes, you can see Yuki's appraisal in bold. Okay?
Sorry, teacher. Send me this link, this document, Google document.
1 second. Hold on. 1 second, and I'll send it to you.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
I'm going to put it in the chat window inside of the Google Hangout because it's a little bit easier for me to do that. Okay? So it's there inside the Google Hangout if you click the blue box on the top left. Okay?
I pasted it in bubbling chat.
Oh, okay, good, fine. Okay, so we're ready to go. Yesterday we talked about the first one. So let's just review. The question was, have the last 6 months been good, bad, satisfactory, or why? And Yuki says it was quite bad. Yuki, do you remember the correction we said? We can't be direct and negative.
Yes.
So instead of saying bad, we need to say the opposite.
You said it's better to write it was not so bad.
Not so good.
Not so good. Sorry. It was not so good. Not so good.
We can't use negative words, so you've got to actually say the opposite, and just instead of obviously it wasn't good, so you just have to say not that it was bad, but that it wasn't good. So you might say something like this: it was not as good as I had expected. Okay, so turning negatives into positives. I meant to say not here. Not as good as I had expected. I've learned a lot, but there is room for correction in job routine.
Also, you said that it's better to write. It's better not to use the word routine.
I agree.
Yes.
What could we say?
Maybe I could say there is a room for improving in the job process, in our job process.
Right, but I said process isn't much better. Not process either. Well, one thing that I notice is that a lot of Japanese speakers add extra words that we don't really need in English, like process and routine. We don't need either of those. You could just say, I've learned a lot, but there is room for correction. There is room for correction. Well, even correction. Let's get rid of job. Let's get rid of correction. But there is room for improvements. There is room for improvement. Let's say, I feel, no, not fell, I feel there is still a bit of room for improvement. So first, these qualifying words like a bit of. That's the second lesson. The first lesson is anything negative needs to become positive. Bad becomes good. The second is you can use these qualifying words like a bit of, or slightly, or just. Anything that shows that you're giving your opinion. You don't want to speak in definites. You don't want to say right and wrong, good and bad. It always has to be, it could be this, it might be that. Because otherwise it sounds a little bit too forward. In what area could there be improvement, Yuki? Let's be very specific. Can you think of one area? Is there a particular skill that you think you could develop? By the way, you can just invent it. It doesn't really matter. But can you think of a particular skill that you can mention? It's better to be specific. Is teamwork a problem? Is communication skills a problem? Is punctuality a problem? I don't know. Is there an area that you think that you would want to improve on? If not, just invent it. It doesn't matter. I just want to focus on English.
Mm,
Not sure?
mm, I'm not sure.
Let's go with teamwork
What the
then.
problem? Yes,
Let's go with teamwork then. We'll just make it up.
maybe.
So, it was not as good as I expected. I've learned a lot, but there is still a bit of room for improvement. For instance, perhaps, perhaps developing my because this is something that's always in no matter any job, they're always going to work on team building. So my team working skills would be an area to look at. If there's an example, you're making a suggestion at the end. So perhaps developing my team working skills would be an area to look at. And notice how I say this expression would be an
Maybe
area to look at.
I feel the necessity of building up sales connection.
Sales, you mean your network of people? Or you mean,
Sales network.
okay, good.
It is needed for us to build up the sales network.
Okay, good. Instead of saying needed, just say should. It sounds more natural. I think we should work on building up sales network. What do you mean sales network? Do you mean clients? What's the network that you're referring to? It's a good idea, but just be clear about what you mean by network. Do you mean a list of contacts of people that you are likely to sell to, your potential clients?
I think he means connections with clients.
Okay. Okay.
No.
No?
I wanted to say that we should build up good relationship with potential customers.
That's what he just said. That's what he just said. It's good. Okay, fine. We can say clients or customers in this case. I don't know what you're selling. Let's say you're selling vacuum cleaners, Yuki. How's that? Do you like vacuum cleaners?
Yes.
Vacuum cleaners are pretty good, right?
Yes.
Do you know how much you can sell a vacuum cleaner for here in Portugal? 3,000 euros. Top line vacuum cleaners. I'm not kidding. I'm serious.
It's
3,000 euros. Yep. So listen to this answer so far. It was not as good as I expected. I've learned a lot, but I feel there is still a bit of room for improvement. For instance, perhaps developing my team working skills would be an area to look at. I also think we should work on building up our sales network whenever. Sounds pretty good right now. Sounds pretty good. In the second sentence, what do you consider are your most important achievements in the last 6 months? You said I was succeed. Uh-oh, not succeed, but what's the noun form of succeed? To succeed is the verb, Yuki. What's the noun form? I was. Oh no, sorry, not noun. Adjective.
I was succeeded.
No. The adjective. The adjective is to be full of success, or I was success.
I was
Success.
Successful.
Right. So it's the adjective form. Successful. Hold on a second. Let me spell that right for you. There we go. Okay. I was successful in beginning negotiations with some important potential customers. Okay. I was successful in beginning some negotiations with some important. Okay, that's fine.
Can I write I was succeeded in?
No.
No?
Succeeded would mean that someone else passed you. They succeeded me to the job. they passed you. So it's got a different meaning. I think you mean that you had success, right? You did something, yeah. So I was successful in beginning negotiations with some important potential customers. And you always want to add a qualifying statement. Here's an example. So will gets us in, not in the, but over. Oh, look at this, Google. Come on, Google, why do you do this? Sorry, just jumped around. Hold on. Look at this. I can't believe it did that. Hold on. I'm not totally lost. What happened? So, we'll see where this gets us over the next quarter. For example, where this gets us. In other words, we'll see if that will lead in new sales or new opportunities. Question number 3 was, which parts of the job interest you the most and the least? You said editing company history. I don't know what that means. What does that mean?
I'm sorry. I just wanted to say that it would be better for me to work with to work in more peaceful job, not so stressful like sales, like working in sales section. There is such kind of job in big company in Japan. It is called as a deadwood employees who are given no real job to do.
Oh, I see. But look at the question. Which parts of the job interest you the most and least? Which parts of the job? Which aspects of the job? So for this, I was suggesting that you imagine that you're a salesman, for example. You don't have to, but I'm saying if you want to think of something, imagine that you're a salesman, for example. You're part of a sales department. Perhaps you're selling expensive vacuum cleaners. Perhaps not. You decide. But if you had to name a part of the job that interested you, what would you say? Remember, the other guy that we looked at earlier, the guy that we corrected his writing, said that the part that interested him was solving problems with the machinery, being given a challenge and having to figure out what to do with it. And we corrected him by saying, I have a vested interest in solving mechanical problems. It's my strong point. It's my background, right? So what do you have a vested interest in? We can use that expression again.
Maybe I'm interested in discussing about future development of our job. I don't know, planning maybe. I was interested in planning our future development of our job.
Okay, let's say product, because it's a little more clear if we say product. I have a vested interest in planning and development of the product, right? If you're, oh, I lost the page. Whoops, sorry. Hold on. I skipped to the bottom by mistake. 1 second, 1 second. There we go, okay. So instead of saying, so if you're a salesperson, you could say, I have a vested interest in planning and development of the product in sales. No, that's interesting. Someone could look at that and say, wait a second, maybe this person has some ideas that could help with R&D or something like that. So that's not a bad answer. And finally, last question, how could your performance be improved? You said making every effort in creating good relationships with potential customers. How could it be improved? So the answer is fine. Let's see if we can clarify it. Making every effort to forge or craft. Instead of good, let's say solid relationships with potential customers. Two words that sound better: forge relationships, that means create; craft, that means to maintain or to develop. So my interest is making every effort to forge or craft solid relationships with potential customers. Okay, the answers sound pretty good now. They sound pretty good. So what I'd like us to do, you can use this as an example if you like. What I'd like us to do is try a little activity where we have to give an appraisal to each other based on our answers. So let me share my screen with you so you can see the task. Here we go. Take turns to appraise your partner using the form they completed in 5. That's the one we just corrected with Yuki. The person leading the meeting should make general comments at the beginning, give specific feedback, discuss and ask questions about performance, and set and agree objectives at the end. Let me just see if there's anything I'm missing here. Okay, well, we're going to stick with this. Okay, so what we're going to do then is, all of you can return to slide number 10, and what we'll do is imagine that you're having a kind of a group appraisal. So you make a very short presentation, just like Yuki did. We can maybe start with Yuki, and the class is the management, the line managers, who are going to make one comment each about an aspect of the appraisal, one comment each. And this comment should be in this particular vein: a general comment at the beginning, specific feedback on a specific point, a discussion or asking a question about performance, and setting and agreeing objectives. So we'll just kind of go down the list. I'll help you with key expressions, but remember, you can always cheat by going to slide 13 and using those expressions. It's not really cheating. In fact, I want you to use these expressions as much as you can throughout the appraisal. Okay, so let's go back here. So, Yuki, what I want you to do is to take those comments that you wrote and that I corrected, and I'd like you to do a short 30-second presentation based on those comments. In other words, just give us a summary of the points that you brought up, just a summary. And then we're going to go back and each make a comment on one of those points. Okay? And if you like, if all of you want to take a look at his comments, just go to page 4 of our shared notes. Okay, I'm not going to put it on the screen, but you know where it is. Okay? Who's going to run the meeting? Who's going to be running our meeting today? Anton, you're a businessman, aren't you? You're an adept businessman. Anton, would you like to run our meeting?
I don't understand so much because I'm taking notes. I'm trying to make my mind understand.
Well, let's try this. Let's imagine that our group, this class, let's imagine that we're here to do an employee evaluation, like a 6-month review of someone's performance. That's what our goal is, all of us. We're going to be first reviewing the job performance of Yuki. What I'd like you to do is to imagine that you're the one leading the meeting. So how would you open a business meeting where we're gathered together to give feedback to Yuki on his job performance? What would you say to open the meeting, Anton? So take what you might say in Spanish, say it in English, right? Just imagine what you've done in other meetings, and then I'll be here to correct you and give you some guidance. But you don't have to, you're not going to be the only one doing the appraisal. We're all going to take turns doing the appraisal. But how would you actually open the meeting to get things started? In other words, open the meeting, call on people, that kind of thing. What would you say to get started, Anton?
Okay, and I try. Good morning. We are here to this meeting, trying to get some feedback about your situation and trying to all 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 us try to find a good solution. So I need your opinions, and I'm going to establish a good conversation with all your points, trying to develop and make better our business. All
So far,
conclusions.
so good. So far, so good. The next thing you'd want to do, Anton, is give us the structure of the meeting. What's going to happen first, second, and third, right? So that way, everyone is on the same page about what to do. And then you can call on Yuki to do a little presentation. So just tell us the first, second, third thing we're going to do, and then we'll get started. How would you like to organize the meeting, Anton?
Okay, first of all, I want to ask you about your personal feelings and things you think we can change for better. And this is the first thing I want to know about you.
Things that he thinks he could change about his performance. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, good.
What do you think we can change, and why?
Mhm.
And the second thing is, if you want to change something, what do you think we are going to get if we change? And finally, we have to decide, all of us, if we change something, is better the change or is better to remain with we have between the results.
Okay, good. All right. So the key is change. I'm hearing a lot about
Yes,
change. Okay, very
yes.
good. All right, it sounds good. Maybe the only thing I would say is to open your introduction, um, focus more on we than I. But other than that, it sounds good. Like I might start by saying, "Hi everyone, thanks for coming today. As you know, we're here to do a job appraisal, the 6 month review of Yuki's performance on the job, and I think we ought to begin by hearing an overview of Yuki's impression of his performance, and then I'd like to ask him specifically if there's anything that he'd like to change about himself or about the workplace. Then we'll consider as a group if we're going to implement those changes or if we have other feedback for him, right? So
All
I'd say
right.
a little bit like that. Just try to kind of put the focus on we instead of I. And then when it comes to asking him questions, there I could say I. Okay, but it sounds good. Okay, Anton, so
Okay.
you can call on Yuki now.
Yuki, you could start. I'm
Could you start?
expecting.
Could you start?
Could you start, Yuki?
Okay. As far as goes our performance, I'd like to start from our review of result, our business result
Are you
in
talking about us or you, Yuki? You're talking about yourself, right?
yes.
you, you can use the appraisal that I corrected as your guide. You can use it as a guide. Our main idea here is that you're going to give us a few details about how you feel your job went. You can use the appraisal I corrected as your basis, and then we're going to make comments like the ones that I put on screen. A general comment at the beginning about what we think about whether we agree, disagree, or another comment. A specific feedback on a specific point. We can talk and ask questions about your performance, and then set objectives at the end. That's what Anton was saying a moment ago about deciding whether to implement changes. Okay, so use that as a guide. Try to give us some specific details if you can. I know you have to imagine this, but try to give us some specific details so that we can ask a specific question if possible. And these are the questions that you filled out earlier. How have the last 6 months been? What are your most important achievements, etc.? Okay? So take it away, Yuki. Give us an overview of how you feel about your performance.
Um,
And by the way, are you a vacuum cleaner salesman, or what are you? Are we going with that?
Maybe let me be a salesman of vacuum cleaner.
Excellent.
Dyson?
Dyson?
Maybe.
Oh, Dyson. Those are fancy.
We have a very good quality of vacuum cleaners. Only a little expensive, but it's very effective. Okay, I'd like to. Okay, as far as goes our performance, my performance of our. The performance of my job, I'd like to start from the impression of last 6 months, my business result. It was not so good. It was not so good. It was
As
not
I had.
as I had expected. But I've learned a lot. I feel there is still a bit of room for improvement. So I'll make my I'll make every effort to improve the situation. As regarding most important achievement in the last 6 months, I was successful in beginning negotiations with some important potential customers. So I can expect the more affordable affordable result in next 6 months. I have so
A more what result in the next 6 months? A more you mean a better result?
Better result. Yes.
Oh, okay.
I can expect a better result in next 6 months. So I'll do my best to forge a solid relationship with potential customers.
Okay, great. And final comments, Yuki? We got to keep this one a little short. So what are your final comments?
In the nutshell.
Good.
So in a nutshell, we have quite a big hope in developing our business.
We have some hope. Hope is better than no hope.
High hope.
A high hope. Oh, okay. I got it. Okay, listen, everyone. We're going to go around the room and follow this guideline. Some general comments. One person's going to make a general comment. One person's going to give specific feedback. We might ask and discuss 1 or 2 points about his performance, and finally agree to set an objective at the end. And the key expressions you're going to be using are here. Okay, I will keep this on screen for you, maybe so you can see it. But just to remember, on slide 11, sorry, you have those things. Making a general comment at the beginning. Okay? So based on what Yuki said, maybe I could have one of you start by making a general comment. Ahmed, what do you think? If you were using one of these expressions, how could you make a general comment based on what you heard him say, and you can then invent the details from there? Okay? But what would you say? You could encourage, you could You could start by just giving a formal appraisal about how we feel about him. You have to make it up. You have to imagine it. But I'd like you to start here. Make a general comment at the beginning based on what you heard him say.
Mm-hmm. Well, uh, I might take that one under giving a formal appraisal.
Okay, go for it.
Yeah, you seem to be doing very well. So,
Uh-huh.
what shall I say after that?
I don't know.
Because I don't remember exactly what he said. I can say, okay, I would say this. I'm really happy with uh, your, I don't know, it is not presentation really.
It's fine. You just have to add a detail. Remember, he said that the results were not as good as they could have been, but he's learned a lot, and he said he was able to forge some new connections in his network, and he feels very hopeful about the future. So we don't know a lot of details. We have to imagine that things could have been better, but based on what he said, it's a bit subjective. Based on what he said, how do you feel about his performance based on the result and based on his feedback, his self-appraisal now? So that's what you're going to comment on. So you said you seem to be doing very well. You could point out one of his strengths, or you could talk about an area that he needs to improve.
I can say, I think something something is going, I don't know, it's going wrong probably.
Okay.
In the area of improvement. So we have to, let's say, for example, set another meeting for this. Is there anything else you would like to add?
Okay, so but what was your feedback exactly? What was going wrong? Remember, he's selling Dyson vacuum cleaners.
Yeah.
And he hasn't set any sales records.
Okay.
But based on what you heard, do you have confidence in him?
He said because he said that in 6 months,
right?
We might get better results.
Okay. So how do you feel about that?
Well, that means he has to make more effort or try to change his plan of marketing.
Okay, good. I want you to say that, but I want you to use the column that says encouraging self-evaluation, because that might be a good way to suggest that. So say that again, but use one of those key expressions there.
Okay. Let me see. You seem to be doing very well. How do you feel about changing your strategy of marketing?
Perfect. Perfect.
Thank you.
How do you feel about that, Yuki? So in other words, maybe it's the way you're marketing yourself, or maybe it's the way you're marketing the company that's getting the lower result. How do you feel about reassessing your approach to the marketing?
I feel unnecessary.
Whenever you want to say necessary, you can just say should. It sounds.
I feel a big potential in organizing in building up sales network with our customers. I have high hope in our future job. Only we have to do for the first. Only what we have to do.
What do we have to do?
only what we have to do firstly is it's I don't know.
What do we have to do, Yuki? I don't know what we have to do.
Okay, ask me for suggestion and
the,
I will suggest something.
Ask him for suggestions.
Yeah.
Ask him for suggestions, Yuki. Ask him for a suggestion.
Okay.
Ask me for suggestion, Yuki.
Okay. Do you have some suggestion about
Well,
it?
yeah, I think we need to use strategy of word mouth. I don't know, is it called word mouth?
Word of mouth.
Word of mouth. I think it is the effective way to improve our marketing. How does that sound?
That sounds good.
Is there anything? Well then, you have to work on this.
Okay, hang on a second. I'd like Jose or Jose. Can you make a specific point, a specific feedback about a point that Yuki brought up earlier? I'd like you to see if you could make a specific. Well, Ahmed kind of did this already, but I'd like us all to have a chance to make one comment. So, could you give him one specific point of feedback based on his presentation? And remember, you can use these expressions, any of these expressions. Giving the formal appraisal is on the left, but you can use any. I mean, you don't have to stick only to these, but I'd like you to try to use some of these when you are not sure exactly how to begin. So, Jose, what would you say specifically about a point that he brought up?
Teacher, I explain what is the correct mode for giving a feedback with your customer.
Okay, go ahead, explain it.
Okay, I can use the question on the without.
Yeah, go for it, go for it. But talk to Yuki. We're having a meeting. We're having a simulated
Okay,
meeting,
okay.
right?
I use the meeting with Yuki now. Okay.
Yeah. But go ahead.
Okay.
Give him the feedback.
Okay. What is the correct mode for presentation your object for the buy in your shop?
Well, I don't know if he's in a shop. I think he's going to the customer because these are expensive. So I think he's meeting face to face with customers, right?
Okay.
But your question is what is the most effective way to approach the customer? Is that right, Jose?
Okay. I answer or I give the answer or I give the question.
Well, we're here to evaluate his performance. So if you have a suggestion, you can make it. If you want to know more, you can ask. So it's your decision. Do you want to give him a suggestion, or do you want to ask him more information?
Okay, teacher, I know. For me, it's better if you use the formal mode if you is very sure in your presentation with your customer.
So if you're very confident, rather than sure, very confident.
Confident, yes.
Yeah.
It's just word, yes, teacher. If you is confident with your customer.
Repeat after me. If you are very confident with your
customer. You are very confident with your customer.
Okay, good. Can you give an example of what you mean by formal? What do you mean by formal? Give an example for us. You said you should use a formal mode, right?
Yes, formal mode, yes.
Okay, give an example of what you mean by formal mode.
Okay. If you when you go to customer in silence mode, in quiet mode, If you explain your product or your person, you explain your person in slow mode.
Uh-huh.
And
Okay, but give an example of what you mean, because it's not clear. Silent and formal are very ambiguous. They could have many meanings. Can you give an example of what you mean?
yes, one moment.
I don't mean use different words. I mean give us an illustration. How would you do it? If you were selling vacuum cleaners, what would be an example of formal?
Yes. Um, when you go to customer and explain what you do in your job, in your work, and
Uh-huh.
explain. One moment.
Well,
In
instead,
calm, when you explain your job in calm mode.
uh-huh, in a calm way,
Calm way, yes.
calmly.
Calmly, yes.
Uh-huh.
Calmly. Uh,
So you're saying he should be calm when he explains the product. Is that what you mean?
yes, if you explain your product that you buy of your customer.
Okay, all right.
I ask the question at Yukino.
Yes, only I don't understand the meaning of the question. But as you know, our sales channel is limited now. Now our sales channel of our vacuum cleaner is limited in the direct sales, like telephone shopping and TV shopping. We have to. We have to enlarge the sales channel with other method like I I think it would be very good if we could more if we could have more shops which can deal with our products.
Okay, so we need more outlets, in other words.
Yes, outlet.
Shops,
Yes.
another way to see shops is outlets. Okay. Well, let's do this. I know not everyone had a chance to speak, unfortunately, but let's do this because we're going to run out of time here. First of all, let me just show you a few points of feedback I'd like you to think about. Let me show you that. Hold on one second here. So I'm going to share my screen with you. I'm back on page 4 and 5 of the notes, which you can see here. So just 3 things I noticed that we might want to take a look at here in blue. I know it's a little small, but it says number 30. When we're talking about results, that's okay. We can also talk about targets, especially if we're talking about sales, because we generally tend to make targets or objectives, and we have to reach those targets. Okay, so it's another word that you could use when you're talking about sales. I corrected Jose to say confident.
Yes.
Right? So rather than say if you're very sure. Sure is very informal. But in business English, we want to have a kind of a neutral register, not too formal, not too informal. So if you're very confident is a better word with your potential customers. Okay, and then I just added the word outlets, right? Which could be a shop or any place where you sell. An outlet is a general way to talk about those things. So here's what I'm going to encourage you to do. I'm going to say that you can go back to slide, any of you can go back to slide number 10 in our presentation. You can use Yuki's answers as a model, the ones that I corrected, and you could do a short, really short, it's got to be like 30 seconds, a minute at the most, a short presentation about your job performance. You can talk about your real job performance in your real job, or you can imagine a situation and you could do a presentation for us to give you points of feedback in the future. The next class will be on Monday, so if anyone wants to do that, you can do it. You can also send me the text to correct using the chat window, not the chat window, but the message service in Verbling. That's probably the easiest way to do it. And anyone who sent me them yesterday, I will have them corrected for you um, uh, as soon as I can. I'll send it back to you once you send it to me. Okay? What we're going to do then is I'll give you a chance to have a mini meeting on Monday if anyone else wants to present. Other than that, we're going to move on to revising the grammar that you need to talk about your experience in the job appraisal. So the narrative tenses. And then we'll finish it up with a final activity where we have a big meeting with all the parts of the meeting, introducing people, having a job appraisal, problem solving, that will finish up the unit in the next time. Okay? So anyone who wants to present can definitely do it in the next class, going to page 10 of our notes. Okay? And we'll pick it up there on Monday. And anyone who has given me texts, I will correct them and send them back to you as soon as I can. If not today, then during the weekend. Okay? So we'll take it from there on Monday. Any questions or comments, send me a message. And have a good weekend, everyone. I'll be back Monday at 10 GMT for, I believe we're going to do a speaking skills class, and 11 GMT for the next in the How to Talk About Job Performance. Okay, have a good weekend, everyone. Bye for now.
Thank
See you soon.
Thank you. Have a good
Bye-bye.
weekend.
All right,
Bye
bye-bye.
bye.
Bye.